hit some anytime goal scorers as well as safe shots on goal for some of these goalies. Give me both teams to score in the first period. That's coming in at plus 185 compared to the over 1.5 that is at minus 120. Okay, you guys ready? Let's make some frickin' money. It's time for Pocket with Jo. Good morning, everyone. Jo here of SportsGrid. It's time for Pocket with Jo over here on SportsGrid TV, on X, as well as over there on YouTube. I hope everyone's Wednesday is starting off great. It is April 2nd. Now we've got 5 games on deck today. We're going to go over each and every single one of these games like we normally do. We'll do the recap at the end and talk some player props. Now, looking at today's slate, I'm kind of feeling a little uneasy about a couple of these games. There's one that I don't want to bet unless I'm taking the dog. Another 2, I'm liking the dog to win outright. So it's going to be kind of an odd day. We'll see how these dogs shake out over the day. But let's jump in to that first game. We're going to start it off with Minnesota Wild taking on the New York Rangers. Now, the puck on this one should drop just after 7 o'clock Eastern. 7:10 Eastern, we're seeing puck drop time. The Minnesota Wild are rolling in at a plus 136 underdog price. The New York Rangers at minus 164. That's a lot to pay for them here in the Garden against the Minnesota Wild. And we've got a total of 5.5. Now, the 5.5 has a juice to the under at minus 124, plus 102 to the over. Looking at the goaltending matchup, this should be Gustafsson versus Igor Shesterkin. Igor Shesterkin versus the Wild in his career has very solid numbers. He's gone 3-1 in 4 games with a .269 save percentage, a .910 save percentage, and a 2.69 goals against average. And when we look at Gustafsson here, he has only had 1 start versus the New York Rangers in his career. That start was not pretty. He allowed 5 goals on 37 shots on his net. So he needs that support from his defense in this game. We know he's been playing much stronger this season than that game that he had that loss to the New York Rangers. So I'm looking for Gustafsson to come out nice and strong, but we know Kaprizov is on this road trip for the Wild. It's kind of dangerous here. The Wild with Kaprizov on the road trip, I haven't seen any prop bets out for him. If the day goes on and we're seeing Kaprizov will hit the ice, I'm still seeing IR. I'm still seeing not on the ice here tonight. But if for some reason, because he's on the road trip, it gives me that bit of uncertainty. If we see Kaprizov hit the ice, don't bet this game. If Kaprizov hits the ice, I do think it will null out my bet. Currently, I'm looking at the Minnesota Wild under 2.5 goals. That's coming in at minus 122. I do think if Kaprizov hits the ice, we're going to get better value on that under 2.5 goals. But Kaprizov could be the driving force for the Minnesota Wild in this one. They've lost their last 2. They got the shootout loss to the Devils on the road on Monday. The Islanders on Friday, and they're versus the Stars on Sunday. They're sitting 4th in the Central, top wild card spot in the Western Conference. And when we look at the New York Rangers, they're battling for a wild card spot in the East. I do think they'll be able to convert on their power play, even though their power play is weak here at converting at 17.7%. You got to look at the kill. The PK is not good for the Wild. It's only stopping opponents 71.7% of the time. So first overall in the league. So you got to expect the Rangers to be able to convert. So I'm going to look at the Wild's team total under 2.5. And then I'm going to look at power play points here for the New York Rangers because I think they get the win, but I don't want to lay it at minus 164. I do think this would be a live betting situation if we see the Wild go up first. And I'm hoping they don't because we're really going to have to sweat out that under 2.5 if they go up first. But if they do go up first, I will be coming back in on the New York Rangers on the money line. They're off the win to the Sharks on Saturday. They'll bring that momentum in. This is the first game home off a road trip, though. It's normally not a great situation to back a team, but when you're fighting for that wild card spot, you definitely have to show up here at home tonight. So looking at the players for those power play points, Panarin here on the power play, I do think he can get the point. The power play point coming in at plus 200 for Panarin. Now he has 79 points on the season, 33 goals and 46 assists. 2 points in both of his last 2 games. So if you want to look at the 2 points for Panarin against the Minnesota Wild, now it's going to be hard on Gustafsson to get 2 points, but he has been able to have that in the last 2. The 2 points is coming in at plus 230. So when I'm looking at the power play point versus the 2+ points, I'd rather that power play point there at plus 200. Now, other players that you can look at, JT Miller has goal number 20 loading. It's coming in at plus 250 for the anytime goal for JT Miller. Again, that can come in 5-on-5 hockey or on the power play. You could look at that. He has 19 goals, 41 assists with 60 points. I do think Mika Zibanejad, another player, strong to look at that power play point. The value is there too. Mika for the power play point coming in at plus 320. And there's no denying what Adam Fox is able to do out there on the ice. Now he has 9 goals and 47 assists, 56 points on the season. He's on that top power play unit, but not on the same line as Panarin. So don't put Fox and Panarin together because they just don't play on the same power play, though. So the conversion on the power play is there. We could see the assist, but I just am not buying it. John, let's make some freaking money today. That is for sure. The Wabs team total is where I'm going to go with this game, and then looking at the power play props for the Rangers. And again, you guys, if we do see Kaprizov in the lineup, run. Just run from this game. We're still going to see the conversion on the power play, so something to note. Let's move on to the Washington Capitals. Ovi did it again. Ovi getting that beautiful goal last night. Now you had to lay some juice in that one at minus 105, but that was okay. It wasn't that bad. Getting Ovi for that goal last night, he almost had the empty netter, you guys. So if you took that second plus goal, it was plus 650. It hurt a little. He went far left or far right. I can't remember. I can see it playing out in my head, but I just can't remember which way the puck went. He almost had us that great plus money for that second goal. But the Capitals on the second night are back-to-back, now facing Carolina. We're seeing the Carolina Hurricanes a minus 220 favorite, plus 180 for the Capitals, and this line just keeps going up as the day goes on. And freaking let it go to the roof because I'm coming in on the Washington Capitals. I don't care. I think this team is the first team in the Metro, playing the second team in the Metro. You're going to see the Capitals bring it, and absolutely, I believe that they will dominate this matchup and get the win. So if the betting market drives this to a $2 underdog, I am going to bet it again. So at plus 180, I got it earlier in the day. It was like plus 150, I want to say, plus 156 on the Capitals, plus 158 when I got it earlier. So at plus 180, I'm going to invest again, you guys. I do think this is the right team to get the win. I don't care that they're on the second night of a back-to-back. Now, that being said, Logan Thompson has to freaking show up today. In the last game versus Buffalo, that was the last game he played. He allowed 7 goals on 22 shots. Can't do that. If he does that in this game, you know the Carolina Hurricanes are rolling away with it. This is a team that is so phenomenally strong at home. When we look at Logan Thompson in the month of March, he had a 2.98 goals against average and 883 save percentage. We need Logan Thompson to start looking like Logan Thompson again. And then you wait into the factor, the only time he's faced Carolina, he was with Vegas. So he was with Vegas when he faced Carolina. And he allowed, are you ready? 8 goals on 29 shots on goal. If any goaltender needs to prove themselves, it's Logan Thompson tonight. So I don't blame you if you don't want to jump in the Washington Capitals. And I do think that's what the betting market is looking at. Looking at Logan Thompson versus the Carolina Hurricanes, what he has not been able to do out there. And then Washington on a back-to-back. But I tell you, this is an absolute battle of the Metro that we're going to see the Washington Capitals really step up. And now, second night of back-to-back, they finally broke that losing streak. They'd won 3 rolling into Boston last night. They didn't play their best hockey versus Boston either. They allowed Boston to go over their team total of 2.5, which did cost me. So disappointing to see that in their 4-3 win last night. Now, when we look at the Carolina Hurricanes, Frederik Andersen is expected to start. He's got freaking stellar numbers in the month of March. So this isn't going to be easy for the Washington Capitals. He's 6-1 in the month of March with a 1.58 goals against average and a 939 save percentage. So he has been on absolute fire. He hasn't faced the Washington Capitals this season. Andersen has allowed also 2 or fewer goals in 7 straight outings, dating back to the start of March, and he has been able to keep these games under, going 6-2-1 in his last 9 starts. So you know it's going to be hard for the Capitals to score in this one. I do think that potential playoff matchup here will be enough for the Washington Capitals to come out and play their absolute best hockey. This is why Boston was able to keep it so tight with the Washington Capitals last night. I'm expecting the most out of them. You look at the road record here for the Washington Capitals. The Capitals' road record is 24-9-3. Now, when we're looking at how Carolina has done, they did lose the last one to the Capitals. Capitals won 3-1 back in December. We've seen Carolina at home versus the Metro be fire. They've won the last 11 at home versus the Metro. So it is going to be a hard game. When we look at Carolina, when we look at the Washington Capitals, they hold an 11-point lead over the Carolina Hurricanes with 8 games left in the regular season. Okay, so they've got 11 points on them, 8 games remaining. And when we look at the Carolina Hurricanes, they've got 9 games left. But even if they won those 2, that'd still be 9 points ahead, right? So the Canes are 7 points ahead of the New Jersey Devils and a game in hand as well. So they're in a really good spot to lock up that second place, you guys. When we look at the scheduling and where both of these teams are sitting, we mentioned the Washington Capitals on the second night of back-to-back. They have Chicago at home on Friday and the Isles on Sunday. And then when we look at Carolina, they're at the Red Wings on Friday and at the Bruins on Saturday. So they got a weekend back, Friday, Saturday, back-to-back loading. If you're looking at Carolina props, I do think you look at those shots on goal. Sebastian Aho has just been dominating with those shots on goal. 3+ shots on goal for Aho, coming in at +100 for the Carolina Hurricanes. In the last 2 meetings with the Washington Capitals, he's put up a total of 8 shots on goal. So I do have faith in him to get those breakaway shots, but Logan Thompson to stand tall. Now we got to talk about Ovi. You guys know we are going there with Ovechkin tonight. We're going to look at his anytime goal prop in this one. It's +145, so we're getting great value versus Frederik Andersen. And I do think it's worth a shot on Ovi to get that anytime goal. We know as the game goes on, we will get better value, but at +145, I'm willing to hit it. Versus the Carolina Hurricanes, he has 8 goals in his previous 10 games and 51 in 91 meetings. He is, since the beginning of March, we've seen Ovi get 8 goals, 18 points in total. And 2 of those goals have come on the power play. So Ovi really has been absolute fire out there. It's not just the empty netters he's getting. For him to get 2 on the power play is great to see. So Ovi at +145 for the anytime goal. Now, if you want to sprinkle for the 2+ goals, I really do think Washington finds a way to get the win in this one. I also want to look at the overtime bet here. The overtime bet's +360. I just don't think we're going to see it go to overtime. I think Washington finishes it in regulation. So if you want to take Washington in regulation, you're going to get even more plus money than the +180 right now. I would just take the +180 with that chance that we do see something crazy happen. Now, Ovi tonight for the 2+ goals is +1,000. I played it last night. I'll play it again. I'll take a half unit on the anytime goal at +145 and a half a unit on the 2+ goals at +1,000. Now, if you want to go up for the hat trick here, it's +5,000, but wouldn't it be Ovi style to get a hat trick on a goaltender that's freaking hot this month? It just seems like the right angle there for Ovechkin. So let me know what you're doing with Ovechkin in this one. You're liking the over. Yeah, I don't blame you for liking the over. Both of these teams can score, but I'm counting on Logan Thompson to really come out so strong in this one. Yeah, they are in a bad spot. Second night of back-to-back versus a really hot home team with a goaltender that hasn't been good versus a home team whose goaltender has been smoking hot between the pipes. So I understand exactly what you're thinking. And yeah, it's a 4-hour flight, but you look at this matchup, battle in the Metro. Carolina definitely wants to beat the best team in the Metro, but the Washington Capitals, I tell you, there's something about this team with how they're playing right now. I do think it could go to that over style of game if Logan Thompson allows those goals in, but I think the Washington Capitals will answer back. So Ovi now has 891 career goals. So he's just three shy of Wayne Gretzky. If he gets that tonight, he breaks a record tonight. That would be insane. I think I'm just going to play Ovi for 1, 2, and 3 goals each and every game from here on out, because you know it's being broken, and it's going to be broken in a high, like, I don't see Ovi just like breaking it versus the Chicago Blackhawks, like in a non-exciting game with an empty netter. I see Ovi breaking it when all eyes are on him and no one expecting him to be able to rack up the goals versus a hot goaltender. And that could be tonight, you guys. So if you like Ovi to break it tonight, you can do the chase for the great 8. I just want to see, it's minus 260 now for him to break it. So we were able to get it at great plus money. I just want to see if we're getting any different lines. I'm just looking on FanDuel on how Ovi will score that at 895th regular season goal. The overtime bet is plus 2,800. That would be phenomenal. Like you got to look at some storylines. The empty netter is plus 350. I don't want to see it on an empty netter. I'd love to see it shorthanded on the shorty at plus 6,000. So there's a lot of different ways to go. I'm trying to see against which team. So the Columbus Blue Jackets, he scored his first ever goal versus the Columbus Blue Jackets in his NHL career. He is in line to hit the Columbus Blue Jackets. That's coming in at plus 230. If you think it's the Carolina Hurricanes because he gets a hat trick tonight, that's coming in at plus 700. And then the New York Islanders is plus 400. So if he rattles off a couple tonight, there's every opportunity versus the Islanders in their next game out because they do. Oh, no, they're at Chicago on Friday and then the Isles on Sunday. So if he gets one tonight, one versus the Chicago, the one versus the Isles, it could be the fact. And then the Pittsburgh Penguins are plus 800, which would be amazing to see him do it versus Sid the Kid, but I don't know. I'm really feeling like he gets it before you guys. So it's going to be interesting. Let me know when you think Ovi is going to score that one. Jamie rolling in here with the LA Kings played great last night. Yeah, they did. The Kings had a phenomenal game. I didn't think they were going to be able to get it done. You're going to go with Toronto on the puck line. Caution with Toronto on the puck line. I just can't get there. Carolina puck line. Okay, I don't blame you for taking Carolina on the puck line. Colorado puck line. What do you think? I have upsets happening tonight, so I'm getting kind of nervous reading that, Jamie, but I do wish you the best. Let's jump back into these games, and then I can address what you're talking about there. I have not talked about any of those games except for the Carolina game. I don't think Carolina is able to get the win. I think Washington gets the win. So you guys can gladly fade me all you want today on these bets. I looked at this card and I feel these underdogs today. And it's uneasy and they're big underdogs. Like the Caps are a big underdog. Florida, this is a hard spot again. So I'm going against a lot of the scheduling spot that I normally like to fade. But I'm looking at another dog because of the scheduling spot. Not sure if I'm going to get on them. But let's take the Florida Panthers first versus the Toronto Maple Leafs. Florida's played their last 2 games versus Montreal. They take the loss in both of those. It's a second night of a back-to-back. After being in Montreal, they've now had to travel to Toronto. It seems like a perfect fade spot, but I can't get behind it here. I do think the Florida Panthers, who have won their last 3 games versus Toronto, roll into Toronto and look to put the stomp down on the Toronto Maple Leafs. This is an absolute war in the Atlantic for that first spot, with the Toronto Maple Leafs sitting first in the Atlantic, 94 points in 74 games. And then we have the Florida Panthers sitting third in the Atlantic, 92 points in 72 games. A win tonight is major for them. If they take the loss, we will see 96 points for Toronto. And so then we're going to see 4 points behind for the Florida Panthers for that first spot. If they get the win tonight, they'll move into that second spot over the Tampa Bay Lightning, which will put them in the position where they will have home ice to start the playoffs. So it's pivotal for Florida to come out nice and strong. Florida finds a way to win tonight. I'm going to take them. And we're seeing the market move on this. Florida this morning was coming in as the dog. I got them at plus 102, and I freaking hate to see this, you guys. They're now minus 113 favorite as money is coming in on the Florida Panthers. I am sorry you guys missed the best of the numbers, but I do think Florida is exactly where you want to go. Now it's minus 106 for the Toronto Maple Leafs, or anyone having faith in the home team here, which they have been solid at home. We got a total of 5.5. I'm going to stay off the total. Toronto's been strong in the division, so I don't blame you if you are backing Toronto in this one. I just can't get there. The largest weakness for the Toronto Maple Leafs has been their defense and their goaltending. And we know Florida's been struggling to score as of late, but I look at Bobrovsky in goal. In his career versus the Maple Leafs, he's gone 15-8-1 in 25 games. He's got a 2.71 goals against average and 908 save percentage. And then Stolarz versus the Florida Panthers, he's played 2 games. Hasn't been pretty. 854 save percentage, a 3.61 goals against average. So I cannot get behind Stolarz in this one. And then I look at the Brad Marchand factor. Brad Marchand over his career has been very solid versus the Toronto Maple Leafs. He does something to Austin Matthews out there on the ice and Mitch Marner. And we know we saw these guys in the Four Nations all together playing against each other and with each other with Mitch Marner and Brad Marchand together. But he's able to get under their skin, and I do expect him to get under their skin. Now, Brad Marchand, since joining the Florida Panthers, hasn't got us a goal yet. What the heck has been happening to him? 4 games, 1 shot on goal. 1 game versus Utah is the only game he had a shot on goal. Now, he is being impactful with his hits. He's being very physical out there on the ice, but I'm expecting Brad Marchand to be a difference maker in this game tonight for the Florida Panthers. They freaking need it. Versus the Maple Leafs in his career. So yes, not as a Florida Panther, but as a Boston Bruin, he has 5 goals and 6 assists in the last 10. Career, 21 goals, 36 assists. A plus-minus of +16 and 57 games against the Leafs. So I'm counting on him to come out strong. Like I said, he has not been impactful other than being physical out there yet for the Florida Panthers. His anytime goal tonight's +270, not as much value as I would have liked for his anytime goal, especially when we consider what he's done with Florida so far. He's on that second line with Sam Bennett, and on the second power play unit, I would look at him for his point as well. His point is -106. I do think both come into play today. He gets a point, he gets a goal, and Brad Marchand is one of the heroes of this game, getting Florida the win. So Sam Reinhart, Barkov left the ice for a hot minute in that last game, but he did return 67 points, 19 goals, 48 assists, so he still has goal number 20 loading. And then Reinhart, 76 points, 36 goals, and 40 assists. It's going to be a great game. Now, also, what I look at is the defense here. So we know offensive issues, but looking at the Panthers' defense, the defense has only been allowing an average of 23.6 shots on goal per game since the start of March. So March, they were really able to lock down on that defensive side. They're getting into playoff style hockey, and that's what I expect here in this game. They can't take those penalties because we know the Toronto Maple Leafs thrive on that power play. So look for that lockdown here of Florida. Look for the disciplined hockey for them to be able to get the win. If they spend all their freaking night in the box, and they're going to be losing me a lot of money, that is for sure. Yeah, looking at the Blues, you are so right. The Blues and Montreal, those 2 teams with those overtime goals, it has been nuts. Montreal able to force that one, tying it up with Florida last night. I walked away. I was so stressed out that they weren't going to tie it up at the end of the game. I had to walk into the kitchen, and then I heard the eruption on my TV, and I was just so excited. I went back and watched the replay and then watched the overtime. It was fantastic. I am so glad they cashed big for you as well last night. The Blues now 10 in a row. Nylander power play point at +210. Yeah, William Nylander for the power play point. If we're going to see Toronto get those goals in this game, it will be on the power play. This is why I'm staying off a total, you guys, because I don't know how scrappy they're going to get. If Florida plays clean, they're going to win this one and not give those power play opportunities. If they play scrappy, they still have the opportunity of winning it, but they're going to see Toronto capitalize on those power plays. So I do like William Nylander for those power play points tonight. Okay, let's look at the Colorado Avalanche versus the Chicago Blackhawks. I can already hear you guys booing this one. I cannot touch Colorado. It's something on Chicago or absolutely nothing for me. Colorado, the biggest favorite of the day, -385. I can't touch them on the puck line, you guys. -1.5. It's -152. It's unbettable for me. There's no way for me to bet Colorado unless I'm just looking at some player props. But still, I look at this schedule for them, and I'm not loving this schedule. I'm going to be honest. We've got a total of 6.5. 6.5 to the over is -115. These teams trend to that under, -105 to the under. Scott Wedgwood is expected. I don't think they'll start Mackenzie Blackwood because tomorrow they do have the Columbus Blue Jackets on deck. So this is a back-to-back loading here for Colorado with Columbus on deck. With Columbus on deck, Columbus has been playing so strong offensively. They've been getting their mojo going, and I do think Colorado will be in the mindset of Columbus tomorrow. Now, we know how bad the Chicago Blackhawks have been. They're sitting last in the Central. This team is eliminated. These teams are dangerous that are eliminated against huge favorites like this. This is a parlay buster of the night for, I swear, anyone putting Colorado on their parlay, long shot money line parlay, I do think is in jeopardy of losing it tonight because of Colorado's schedule. You just never know what you're going to get out of these teams. Now they're third in the Central, and yes, they need these wins. They need these points. Let's just see exactly how many points they have here for you guys. So they have 94 points in 75 games. The Dallas Stars are sitting second in the Central right now, 74 games played. So they've got a game in hand, 102 points. It's going to be very hard for Colorado to try to catch the Dallas Stars to get that home ice advantage. They're going to have, 6-7 games left. It's just, we're going to have to see Dallas lose everything and Colorado win it, basically. The wild card spot, we do see the Wild in the wild card spot and the St. Louis Blues in the wild card spot in the Western Conference. 89 points for St. Louis, 88 points for the Minnesota Wild. So it's interesting what's happening out in the West. You guys, definitely tight spots. The only teams that are locked in right now are the Winnipeg Jets and the Dallas Stars. In the Central, we are seeing also no one else really locked into their position. So for the Pacific Division, it's going to be mayhem. And then again, those eliminated teams are the Kraken, the Predators, the Chicago Blackhawks, and the Sharks. So dangerous teams here. So where are we going to go? How are we going to make some money? Well, Colorado's not only not covered the puck line in the last 4 versus the Central, but they have lost the last 4 versus the Central. They did face Chicago just on March 10th, got the shutout win 3-0. You guys know in that game we were riding Chicago plus 1.5. It didn't come to cash. The Colorado Avalanche have only allowed 2.77 goals per game. This defense is playing strong. But Columbus tomorrow, Blues on Saturday, Vegas at home on Tuesday. Those 3 games, I tell you, are going to be a heck of a lot harder than tonight. You should see Colorado steamroll over them, but I'm not touching it. Spencer Knight's played 1 game versus the Colorado Avalanche in his career. In that, he had a .900 save percentage, a 2.03 goals against average. Chicago's lost the last 3. They lost to Utah 5-2 at home. They lost 9 of their last 10, and now I'm telling you, I could bet them over Colorado. I know, it's sickening, right? I don't trust this. So the under has been the trend. 8 of the last 10 games have gone to that under. I am tempted to put a sprinkle on the Chicago Blackhawks straight up on the money line at plus 300 and then walk away from this game. I don't recommend doing it, but I can't trust Colorado at this price with this schedule. So if you're looking at players where they're sitting with player points, Nathan McKinnon has 110, 30 goals, 80 assists. You should be able to see him. He should score on the power play tonight versus Chicago. Cale Makar has 85 points, 28 goals, 57 assists. He should be able to score. Nichushkin, goal number 20 loading. Let's just take Nichushkin for goal number 20. 19 goals, 30 points, 11 assists. This is where I want to put my money on Valeri Nichushkin. He has been hot out there for Colorado. And we're looking at the Chicago Blackhawks, Connor Bedard, 58 points, 20 goals, and 38 assists. Tara Vinen with 56 points, 15 goals, and 41 assists. And Bertuzzi, 41 points, 20 goals, and 21 assists. So I'm not loving a heck of a lot, you guys. Again, for me, it is Chicago or no one. And even looking at their team totals, I tried to find some way to bet Colorado, not bet Chicago, and find a positive here. They trend to the under. If Colorado gets 4 goals, they stay under their team total of 4.5, but the books want minus 180. Yeah, I'm not betting it. For the Chicago Blackhawks, we could see if it's Scott Wedgwood, because we don't know if it's Wedgwood or Blackwood. I'm expecting Blackwood to start tomorrow versus Columbus, and Scott Wedgwood to get another start here. The over 2.5 goals for the Chicago Blackhawks, if you believe this team will get 3 goals, playing spoiler roles, coming in at plus 124. So of all the bets, if it's Wedgwood, I would take the over 2.5 goals for the Chicago Blackhawks at home, just looking to get that upset. They play the Capitals on Friday, and then versus the Pittsburgh Penguins at home on Saturday, and then they're at Pittsburgh on Tuesday. They've lost their last 3 and 9 of their last 10. So it's a really hard pill to swallow, you guys. Let's move on to the last game of the night, the Seattle Kraken taking on the Vancouver Canucks. Now, the Vancouver Canucks home off a road trip, minus 156 favorite. We got a couple teams home off road trips. The Toronto Maple Leafs home off a road trip, Vancouver home off a road trip. They're not pretty situations for these teams, but Vancouver is so battling it out in the Pacific for a wild card in the West, and they need this win over the Seattle Kraken, but the Kraken eliminated, looking to play spoiler here. So dangerous team again. The Seattle Kraken coming in at plus 130, minus 156 here for the Vancouver Canucks, a total of 5.5. The juice to the under is minus 124. And I think it's because we don't have the faith in the Seattle Kraken to score, right? I won't fade the Kraken's team total tonight because we are seeing Vancouver home off that road trip. I expect them to put up a couple goals, and I don't want to play around with a 2.5. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to look at Vancouver to win the first period. The sense of urgency for this team, especially with how hot the Blues are playing right now. They're sitting 5th in the Pacific behind Calgary. They've got 81 points in 74 games. They need this win, and they've got to keep their fingers crossed that Calgary and the Blues start losing. We are seeing 7th in the Pacific, eliminated Kraken team. So I will take Vancouver first period puck line, laying a half goal. That's coming in at plus 156. These teams have trended to that over. So we do have a team total of 2.5 for Vancouver. You're going to have to ult it to over 3.5. I expect 4 goals out of the Vancouver Canucks. But then if we're expecting the Seattle Kraken to add a couple, then you just take the over. Quinn Hughes versus Winnipeg, they held him to 2 shots on goal, 0 points out there on the road in their last game. March 1st versus Seattle, he had 1 shot on goal and 0 points. So the Seattle Kraken have been able to hold him down. If you're looking at Quinn Hughes for points tonight, the 1 point or more is way too juiced. You have to take him for 2 or more. I'm not willing to get there, but I do think he probably gets 2 points. Now, Brock Besser is someone you want to look at. 46 points, 24 goals, 22 assists. So goal number 25 is loading. If you look though at Quinn Hughes and then Brock Besser, sorry, I just had a brain fart. For a point each, they're both on that top line, both on that top power play. It's what I was trying to get my brain around, making sure they were. You're going to get the point together at minus 104. So you're going to bring down that juice, which is ultimately what we want to do. I do expect Brock Besser to get the goal tonight, and then I think Quinn Hughes would get that assist. So if you want to take Quinn Hughes for the assist, Brock Besser for the goal, that's coming in parlayed together at plus 228, or just Brock Besser for the goal at plus 185. I probably would just do the goal at plus 185. On the Seattle side, I am very tempted to go a little bit heavier on Brandon Montour tonight. He has 16 goals, 23 assists, and 39 points. So you're looking at point number 40 loading, but I'm looking at what he's been able to do for his shots on goal as of late. 3+ shots on goal coming in at plus 122. 4+ shots on goal coming in at plus 420. He hasn't had a point in his last 6 games, but he had points in the 4 prior. He's had 4 shots on goal versus Dallas and 5 in the 1 prior. So in the last 2 games, he's getting these shots. I think those shots will come against Vancouver here tonight. Vancouver is going to do their darndest to try to really limit the Seattle Kraken, and I do think Demko can do a solid job in net. But Brandon Montour, I think those shots are going to be firing. And when you're giving me a player that's gone over this number versus the Dallas Stars defense, and I get 3+ shots at plus 122, sign me the frick up. And then when you're looking at 4+ plus 420, you guys, I'm all over it. So that's where I'm going to go with this game. I just will take Vancouver puck line first period at plus 156. I'll take their alt team total over 3.5 as well. I really think it is a great way to go. Yeah, Montreal cash in big for you as well. Good morning, Mo. Nice to see you here. Derek, you're going to take Shane Wright to score tonight. I don't hate it. I don't hate Shane Wright at all. He has been stepping up as of late. We've been seeing a lot more out of him for sure. So that is all of the games. Like I said, 5 games on deck. We got another loaded slate tomorrow. So make sure you join me back here tomorrow for another Puck It with Joe. I will do the recap. But before we do the recap, if you guys can hit that like, subscribe, or retweet button, I would so greatly appreciate it. Just helps get the word out about this show and keeps it here for next season as well on SportsGrid TV on X. So if you want to see the show next season on SportsGrid TV on X, make sure you do retweet the show as well as hit that like button, drop in the comments who you are liking tonight, and it would so very much help me here. Let's move on to the recap, you guys. We're going to run through this fast. We'll then look at the player props. And again, if you want to fade some of these dogs tonight, take the favorites. I don't blame you. I'm loving the dogs. On days where I absolutely love more dogs or more favorites, it always leaves me uneasy. I love when I'm looking at a lot of first periods and more so an even mix. Today, I'm so heavy feeling on the dogs. I'm not loving a lot of first periods. I'm not loving a lot of totals. I'm really clear cut on I like this team or I don't like this team. And that leaves me sometimes feeling uneasy going into the night. But those have been some of our best days. So the Minnesota Wild versus the New York Rangers. Give me the Rangers to get the win, but they are too juicy on that money line. What I'm going to do is I'm going to fade the Wild's team total against Igor Shesterkin. I expect him to have strong performance versus the Wild. Give me the Wild under 2.5 goals at minus 122. Again, this is dependent on Kaprizov not getting on the ice tonight. He's on the road trip, which gives me uneasiness. He's been practicing with this team, still listed on the IR on that injury report, so I don't think he's playing tonight. Panarin. Give me Panarin for the power play point. I do think we're going to see the New York Rangers, even though their power play is weak, be able to score against one of the worst kills in the league in the Minnesota Wild. And then Mika Zibanejad for the power play point at plus 320. You can also look at Panarin for 2+ points at plus 230, but I think you're better off just with that power play point. Adam Fox is another strong player. JT Miller has goal number 20 loading. When we look at the Washington Capitals versus the Carolina Hurricanes, I don't care the scheduling spot here for the Capitals. This is a battle of the Metro. They did not leave it at all on the ice last night versus Boston. They still played a sloppy game. They will turn it on tonight, and I think we're going to get great plus money with the Washington Capitals. I'm rolling with them straight up on the money line to get the win. This line keeps moving. Money coming in on Carolina. Just keep flying it up, you guys, on Carolina, so I can get better value on the Washington Capitals. I'm going against all that line movement there. Give me Sebastian Aho, though, if you want something. Carolina, his 3+ shots on goal coming in at plus 100. I do think you could fire that up to 4+ shots on goal, get that plus 220, I believe it is. Price there, but he's had 8 shots on goal in the last 2 games versus the Washington Capitals in total. And then Ovi, we're going to roll with Ovi. I'm going to put a third of a unit on 1 goal, third of a unit on 2 goals, and a third of a unit on the Hattie. If he gets a Hattie tonight, he does break Wayne Gretzky's record that will be broken here versus the Carolina Hurricanes. He has the ability to do so. He has 8 goals in the previous 10 games versus the Carolina Hurricanes. I know a hat trick against Frederick Anderson would be unbelievable, but I think when Ovi breaks this record, it's going to be against an unbelievably strong goaltender and not just like Spencer Knight of the Chicago Blackhawks. So definitely something to note, you guys, that Ovi is that close to being able to get there. Actually, he's 4 goals away, so he's going to get it with the Hattie tonight. My bad, but we could have him almost there at getting things done. The Florida Panthers and the Toronto Maple Leafs. Let's look here for Florida to get the win now. I guess people are liking this as well. I hate that. It was plus 102, plus 105 earlier in the morning. And as we speak, the juice keeps going up. Minus 116 when we first spoke about it. Minus 118 now for the Florida Panthers, but I do think they find a way to win. Again, they didn't play their best hockey out there versus the Montreal Canadiens, and Montreal just has a way with them. Toronto coming home from a road trip. Stallers I don't trust versus Florida, and I do trust Bobrovsky versus the Leafs. Now, the Leafs, if they get on that power play, will be able to convert on Florida here. Florida has to do a great job of staying clean in this game, not playing scrappy, staying out of the box. Brad Marchand, I do think, has to be a difference maker here. His career numbers versus the Maple Leafs is impressive. 5 goals, 6 assists, last 10 versus the Leafs. He gets under Mitch Marner and Austin Matthews' skin. Expect that tonight. Now, he's only had 1 shot on goal in 4 games. What the heck has he been doing out there since he started with the Florida Panthers? I'm looking for that goal tonight, plus 270 for the goal. You could also just look for the straight up point at minus 106. He's on that second line with Sam Bennett. So over his career versus the Maple Leafs, we have seen 21 goals, 36 assists, a plus 16 in 57 games. And then Colorado versus Chicago. Again, you guys, this is ugly. I can't bet Colorado at this price. I can't touch them. They are too big of favorites here with their scheduling situation. We've got an eliminated team here in Chicago. And yeah, Colorado should be able to roll in here and win this 4-0, right? Like this is how the game should go down. I don't have enough faith in them that they will get it done how they're supposed to in this one. They've lost the last 4 and haven't covered the puck line in the last 4 versus the Central. I do think your players are solid here for Colorado, but like I said, it's bet something for Chicago or don't touch it. Colorado's team totals 4.5. I expect 4 goals out of them, but if we get 4 goals out of them, they stay under the 4.5. That's minus 180. You can't bet it. If anything, I would put a sprinkle just on Chicago straight up on the money line to be able to pull off that upset win that no one is expecting out there. They didn't get done the last time, but their team total over 2.5 goals is plus 124. I don't trust either team, so I don't like this game. I haven't got a bet in on this one yet. So if I'm going to bet it, it will be something on Chicago, probably just a sprinkle on the money line. The Seattle Seahawks and the Seattle Kraken and the Vancouver Canucks will be your last game of the night, 10:30 Eastern matchup here. I'm going to take Vancouver first period puck line, expecting them to come out hot out of the gate. That's minus a half a goal, plus 156. I do think you can alt their team total over 3.5 goals instead of the over 2.5 goals. The over 2.5 is too juiced at minus 176. The over 3.5 will get you great plus money. Quinn Hughes, I do think you could parlay with Brock Besser, both for the point, both on the top power play unit, both on the top line. That's coming in at minus 104. Brock Besser is due for goal number 25 tonight. That's coming in at plus 185. And then I think Quinn Hughes gets the assist. So if you want to take the assist and the goal parlay together, that's coming in at plus 228 for those guys. But I also really like Brandon Montour to come out nice and strong. He showed up versus Dallas, even though he was unable to get those goals. Had 4 shots in the last game versus Dallas and the one prior versus Dallas. He had 5 shots. And I do believe in the Stars defense a lot more than I believe in the defense of Vancouver. Brandon Montour, 16 goals, 23 assists, and 39 points. So 3+ shots on goal, plus 122, 4+ shots on goal, plus 420. And he hasn't had a point in the last 6 games. I understand that. The point tonight's coming in at plus 162. I do think it could be a goal. It could be an assist. So I would look at Brandon Montour for the point at plus 162. It's great odds there. It's better odds than the 3+ shots on goal, which we know how hard those shots on goal are for you to be able to get. Yeah, let's make some freaking money for sure. Yeah, Valerie Nichushkin, you got to look at Nichushkin for sure. JT Miller of Vancouver, Brock Besser as well. And then you like William Nylander for the anytime goal for Toronto. Yeah, I don't blame you. I think those are all great players to definitely look at tonight. Any players you'd like the points tonight? Yeah, I'm going to take the points tonight. Brandon Montour, give me a point for him at plus 162. I'm going to stay off the Avs game. I'm really feeling uneasy about that game. I'll take the point for Brad Marchand at minus 106. And then Mika Zibanejad and Panarin, I love for those power play points tonight. So that is where I'm going to go. Oh, and of course, Ovi. We're going to look at Ovi. So that's where I'm going to go with those points tonight. Yeah, I think Blake, I do think Brad gets it done. He's just so strong against Toronto. Him and Mitch Marner, it's going to be interesting to see him and Mitch Marner, because when they played at the Four Nations together, they actually got along. So I'm not sure how they're going to interact out there on the ice. I'm sure Brad is going to get under his skin right away. Brad Marchand loves to do that, two players. And yeah, it's going to be interesting. But you guys, all the best in all of your bets today. Let's make some freaking money. Again, I'll be here live tomorrow, noon Eastern, here on SportsGrid TV on X. Make sure you do me that solid. Hit that like, hit that retweet button, hit retweet button and subscribe button so we can run this show here on the daily. Yeah, you got to look at Brad. Brad has to get something done, you guys. 4 games for Florida, 1 shot on goal. What the heck? Okay, so let's make some freaking money. Thanks for all the love from you guys today. Tell a friend about the show. We want to make sure we go live every day, noon Eastern, next season as well. The season's coming to an end, you guys. The last day of the regular season, April 17th. Then we will roll into the playoffs. So super excited to see that. Super excited to see who ends up in those wild card spots. We know the Eastern Conference. This is crazy. No one has been mathematically eliminated from playoff contention in the Eastern Conference. The Boston Bruins are sitting in that last place with 69 points in 75 games. Buffalo won ahead of them, 64 points in, 74 games and 70 points. So we're looking at these teams, they're about to fall off and be eliminated. But you're looking at that wild card race, and it is hot out there. The Ottawa Senators and Montreal currently occupying the Eastern Conference wild card spots. And looking at the Western Conference, currently the St. Louis Blues and the Minnesota Wild. So St. Louis, with their win last night, did jump up over this Minnesota Wild. 89 points, 76 games played. The Wild do have a game in hand and are 1 point behind them. So this is going to be a battle of all battles. If they take the loss tonight, really good here for the St. Louis Blues to take that first wild card spot. And then you look at Calgary with 82 points, 81 there for the Canucks. Calgary has a game in hand over the Vancouver Canucks and 2 games in hand over the Minnesota Wild. So could the Calgary Flames get something done, make a push for the playoffs? It's going to be a wild couple of weeks here. Again, make sure you join me on the daily on SportsGrid TV on X. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Hit some anytime goal scorers as well as safe shots on goal for some of these goalies. Give me both teams to score in the first period. That's coming in at plus 185 compared to the over 1.5 that is at minus 120. Okay, you guys ready? Let's make some frickin' money. It's time for Pocket with Joe.